in the city of Chicago, we always joke about going up to Hallis Hall with pitchforks and all this kind of stuff. And once COVID allows, I'm sure me and Kieran are getting on the first plane out there to get rid of certain people. But is there, and we speak about apathy, is there an apathy and almost a comedic side to the Chicago Bears right now amongst their fan base because of what's happened for the last 15 years? Is it almost comedic when Ted Phillips comes out and says these things?
The Bears are the laughing stock of the NFL right now. So, yeah, I fully agree with that. I mean, you look at this team. I mean, let's really sit down and look at this. Ryan Pace has been here since 2013. I just had a former NFL GM on my program today. It's going to come out later. He was a former NFL GM. He worked with Nick Saban, and he worked in Miami. He worked at the New Orleans Saints, too. He did not get a second head coach to hire. This might be his third for Ryan Pace if he sticks around and Matt Nagy gets to go. That's like unprecedented. He used to be Ryan Pace's former boss, too, on top of it. He told me that. So he's like, I don't even know how Ryan, is really sticking around here still. Matt Nagy, after 2018, has been a total dumpster fire. The Bears have an accountant, because that's what a comptroller is, an accountant. So they have some accountant running, essentially, football operations. He's the president of football operations. What kind of revenue is coming in? That's what I want to know. Because nobody's showing up to the frickin' games anymore. People are boycotting this team. No one's buying merchandise. I mean, there were empty seats at Soldier Field 2 weeks ago. So I don't know what kind of revenue Ted Phillips is bringing in because it doesn't look like there's much really coming in. And there hasn't been much for a long time. People are loyal to the Bears to a fault, and I totally understand it. But the fact is, unless you succeed, there isn't going to be revenue or there isn't going to be fanfare or all of this hype around your team. They were banking on Justin Fields being some big deal. And you know what? Justin Fields needs some work, like every rookie quarterback does. So what's your next plan of attack? You're going to sit here and watch this team go 4-9, head into the dumpster, and expect everything to be okay. There needs to be a total restructuring. This guy needs to go. Ted Phillips needs to go. Ryan Pace needs to go. And Matt Nagy needs to go. All these people need to get the hell out of there, need to bring in somebody new. This is like the Chicago Bulls. The Chicago Bulls for years, John Paxson and Gar Forman led the team, and where'd they go? Nowhere. There was no direction. I mean, 2 years ago on my program, I'm like, I don't know where this team's going to go. Now look at them. Number one seed once COVID clears up, number one seed in the Eastern Conference. So something needs to give here, and that just goes to show you that things could change really quickly if at least some changes are made. I mean, this team, the Bears could become, in 2 years, who knows, a Super Bowl contender. It's actually possible. The Bulls proved it. But the question is, are they willing to get rid of these people? There's too much patronage. There's too much loyalty. And, at the end of the day, I love you being loyal. It's a great quality to have. But if you aren't producing, you're fired. That's just the fact of the matter. I hate rewarding people for mediocrity. That's just a pet peeve of mine. You don't deserve to be given a salary if you suck. That's just how it works. And right now, these guys are making millions of dollars, all of them. Pace, Nagy, and Ted Phillips, because they're not there and not making millions of dollars. They're sitting in there making millions of dollars, sitting in offices, and this is where the team's going. They're 4-9, gotten worse every year, progressively worse. Now you're at this point with a rookie quarterback, no team around him, no offensive line, crappy offensive scheme, and nothing to really show for it. So there needs to be big change. I don't know if it's even going to happen. I have my reservations because for years everybody's talked about and preached change. And, I mean, what has really come of it? I mean, last year, Matt Nagy and Ryan Pace were supposed to be fired. We all talked about that now, look. So, I hope there's some real change. But the fact of the matter is, this is a complete dumpster fire that needs a complete rearranging. It's like the Cleveland Browns. The Browns have used like 25 quarterbacks since 2000. The Bears are right up there with them. And then on top of it,
sorry, Mungo.
Well, then on top of it, got a bad front office, and front office changes have been happening constantly for the Bears. I mean, remember Jerry Angelo? Then we went to this, Phil Embry. Now we're here. Well, what's going on? Like, come on, why are you the Cleveland Browns? You're the you're George Halas. These are George Halas's grandkids. This is the founder of the NFL. And this is what you've been reduced to now. A team like the Cleveland Browns, some expansion team, who really sucks. Playing, even though they're, right now, the fact is their history and their lineage is nothing. The Bears have a storied history, and this is the way they're performing. That is just a complete and utter shame, not just for the franchise, but for the fan base, too.
I'd add on to that is we've won 4 games, 2 of them against Detroit.
Yep.
So if we were in any other division, we'd be 2-11 and we'd be the Jags. We'd be the Jets. and it's crazy. Before I let you go, John, because I know you're a very, very busy man, I really appreciate your time coming on. So thanks very much. I've a question on from one of the guys here, and it's add on to what you were saying about getting rid of everyone. So we're trying to look at the kind of positive side, and it's one of our colleagues, one of our kind of regular guys, Alan, who comes in. He said he loves your show, and he threw in the rumors of a package deal for Trace Armstrong and Ryan Day. Now, before you answer that question, Ryan Day is something that Kieran would have been looking at from Ohio State and all the kind of stuff that comes with that, and then looking at a Justin Fields side of things. And is that the direction you think we should go, as in looking at how the best we can get out of Justin Fields, or are you looking for a head coach of substantial experience within the NFL to drag this franchise kicking and screaming into the 21st century?
I think the best idea right now is to cater to Justin Fields. No matter what you do, I don't care who the coach is, please cater to Justin Fields. You know, I always bring up Lamar Jackson and John Harbaugh. You know, everybody wanted Lamar Jackson to be a wide receiver or running back. Maybe a tight end if he put on some weight. The fact is, John Harbaugh said, you know what? I like your system. I like who you are. Let's cater something to you, which meant decreased use of the running back. Lamar, you are a running back. You're a quarterback too, and it worked. It may not be working now, and that's a completely different story. Lots of injuries. Lamar's regressed a bit, but the fact is, for a couple of years, it worked. So when you're going to bring in somebody, and when you're evaluating these head coaching candidates, because Matt Nagy said the same thing. When Matt Nagy was hired, the whole reason he was hired was so he could develop Mitch Trubisky. That's the whole reason he was hired. They said, oh, yeah, I could do it. I'm a quarterback guru. I could develop him. And it obviously didn't work. So what you have to do is find a coach who's willing to put his ego at the door, to not have the quarterback conform to him. Rather, you conform to the quarterback. Hey, Justin, what are your strengths? What do you like to do? What do you not like to do? I'm going to find a game plan that works for you. So Ryan Day would be a great fit, right? Because Ryan Day, it obviously worked at Ohio State. I'd have no problem with that. I think that's a great idea. But anybody, it doesn't matter. I don't care who it is. As long as they profess that they're willing to put their ego at the door and work for Justin Fields, not have Justin Fields work for them, I think everything would be great.